Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Unlocked. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson. Today, I've got a bit of a special topic that I want to share with you guys, and it is like this. I've named it The Secret Anatomy of Influence. And you guys might be wondering, why the heck am I talking about this? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about sort of the stuff that's happened in the past for me and why I feel like this particular thing, this particular topic is so darn important because from my experience and what I've found is that this was the number one thing that actually made a massive, massive difference to not only my business, but also my confidence and my competence. So I want to share with you guys exactly what I found over I think I'm in about my ninth year of business, all the things that I have learned and kind of what happened right at the beginning and, where things have evolved and how I've come to be, in the business that I'm doing now, nearly 9 years later. So let's start with this. The very first thing that I want to start with is by saying hi to everyone, because I've got a whole heap of you guys starting to join. So hi, everybody that's watching today. You'll be watching inside of the Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life group. And if you're not there right now, you want to get yourself on over there because that's the place that we share not only the show of Tracy Wilson and Unlocked, but there are a whole lot of other shows that we do in there for the benefit of all of our viewers so that you can live the best life in terms of your family, your business and life. We want you to thrive across all of those. So today's topic on the Unlock Show is the secret anatomy of influence. So let me start here by kind of covering off the meaning of influence. So the meaning of influence, when we talk about this, it's like your capacity or one's capacity to have an effect on the character, development, behavior of someone else or something else, or the ability to be able to affect itself. That's the kind of dictionary meaning of influence. And I want to specifically talk about it today in the context of business, because like I said right at the beginning, this thing, influence, was the one thing that I found made a huge difference in, like I said, not just my business, but in kind of all areas of my life. And if you've been following me for a little while, you'll know that prior to me starting my business back almost 9 years ago, I was a regional manager of a bank. And so with that role came a whole lot of influence purely because of the title and the role that I had. So that automatically gave me a level of influence and a level of authority with all of my team members and also all of my colleagues. But however, when you dive out of that corporate world that has a title that comes with that level of influence, and you step into the world of entrepreneurship or as a business owner, all of a sudden, this thing called influence is a very, very different beast, right? Because you don't come into it with a title or it's a self-made title. And you have to go about starting to establish yourself in whatever industry you are in with a level of influence and authority. And if I rewind kind of 8 years back, I stepped out of my corporate world where I had lots of influence and lots of authority into the space of being an entrepreneur and not really knowing what the heck I was doing, to be honest. Like I had my skills and the expertise that I brought with me into my new entrepreneurial space. I knew I was an expert at a few different things, but was trying to figure out my way in the world of entrepreneurship and figuring out what type of consultancy business would I actually create for myself. And I kind of set out in a way of trial and error, kind of figuring stuff out as I went, because I really didn't know much. Like, I didn't know how to build a website. I can recall sitting up for hours and hours of the night trying to figure out how do I even work this thing. All the terminology that I was now thrust into this new world, I didn't even know what all these things meant. Now, 9 years later, of course, I know what all of those things mean, and I know them pretty intimately now, and I can coach and train people through all of those processes. But right at the beginning, I had no clue about any of that. So influence, having influence is really important, because once you start to establish yourself in having influence, it means that you're able to have an impact and an effect on other people. And when you can establish that level of influence where you're able to impact and have influence with others and enable them to make decisions really easily, then you also have this a way of being able to establish authority and being able to provide them with the things that you like in your business that you offer. So I want to start by saying that because I want to talk about this in that particular context. Also, if you think about this, when I look back and when I started out in my consulting business, I kind of went right back to what was it that I was good at. And I knew that in the banking world, I was really good with the financial piece. I was really good at coaching and all of the things that came with that. And I started to establish my consulting business, and I did a whole lot of research. And I started to research what was it that actually either made or break a business, right? So most businesses, some of you guys may already know this, but most businesses fail within the first 5 years. And when I started doing this research, that's actually how the name of my business came about. So my original business and the company that I still run today is called Business Beyond 5. And I created that business because I understood that most businesses didn't survive past the first 5 years. And there are a number of reasons why they don't survive in that first 5 years. And I kind of built my entire business concept around the fact that most businesses failed, because my mission was to help them survive the first 5 years. And thankfully, I'm almost double that now. I'm well and truly past the first 5 years. The other really important statistic to bring to your attention here is that if you're a woman, because you guys also know that I speak a lot about, the She-Myth book that I've written along with Vicky Helm. And so the research that I've done in there also indicates, well, the facts are that most women earn less than $40,000 a year if you're in business. So when I started to realize all of this stuff, I started to unpack all the things that I felt that needed to happen in order for me to be able to serve my customers at the highest level, with my main goal of helping them survive the first 5 years. Because if I could get them over that hump and help them survive the first 5 years, I knew that they had a really good chance of being able to survive and be profitable long term. Now, I want you to hold those numbers in your mind. So I want you to hold the fact that most businesses fail within the first 5 years. And I want to say congratulations to you if you have been in business for more than 5 years and you are still in business, because you are in the minority. If you are not, and you are just starting out in business, there are some fundamental things that you need to understand to help you survive the first 5 years. And like I said, the secret anatomy of influence is one of the big, big keys. And interestingly enough, when I did my research right back at the beginning, it actually wasn't one of the things that came up. It's not spoken about, hence the reason that I call this the secret, because it really is. Even though I was doing all the traditional things, all the things that I was taught to do and that I knew intuitively to do, influence in this manner that I'm going to talk about today was not one of the things that was spoken about or even shared by a lot of mentors and coaches that I have worked with over the course of me being in business for the last 9 years. So I'm going to share with you today what my secret sauce is, and tell you how you can kind of join me, and so that I can dive really, really deep into the secrets of this anatomy and show you how you can build your influence to really start to skyrocket your business, increase your sales, and increase the leads to your business really, really quickly, because this truly is the one secret sauce. Now, here's the thing. Most people think this. Most people think that you have to be an expert to be able to run a business. And I would say to a degree that is really true. Like, you need to have something that you're passionate about. You've got absolute clarity about what it is that you are going to be serving your audience with. So they're in pain and you're going to help them, get out of pain and achieve whatever XYZ result is that you're going to give them. So you absolutely need to be clear with that. And then along the way, you need to be making sure that you are fine-tuning and honing your skills. But most people think that you're being told this, that to be an expert, you need to have completed at least, or been practicing your craft for at least 10,000 hours. Now, let me put that into perspective for you. 10,000 hours equates to 5 years. So 5 years in being an expert on something. So most of you guys are more than 5 years old, because I doubt that a 5-year-old will be watching me today. So most of you guys are going to be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, possibly even your 60s and older. So all of you have experience. all of you have more than 5 years experience in something. And therefore, you will have been doing that for at least 10,000 hours. So in my books, that makes you an expert on something. So the reason that I brought that up today is because in terms of people being able to build their influence, they get scared of building their influence because they think that they're not knowledgeable enough. They think that they don't have enough skill or experience to be able to do it. So now that I've put that into perspective, I hope that has put that barrier for you to bed, because like I said, if you are at least 10 years old, you've got some experience in something. So you will be able to layer on your influence to the experience that you already have to be able to build your business and break the glass ceilings of being somebody that can be in business for more than 5 years, somebody that can earn more than the average $40,000 a year if you're a female. So I want you to just hold all of those very, very clearly in your mind and tell me whether or not that is something that you want to do. Like if you're already there and you want to take your business to the next level, then again, influence might be the one thing that is going to make the real difference here. But it absolutely is if you are starting out, and it absolutely is if you are less than 5 years in business and you are earning less than $40,000 or even less than $100,000 a year. When I started to understand all of this, here's what happened. So I went from charging $197 a month for my coaching to being able to charge $40,000 for one package that I put together. That is a major difference. And all of this came down to this one particular thing in terms of influence. So like I've said in the beginning, it wasn't always that easy for me either. And you're probably experiencing that it's not always easy for you. But this one thing, this influence made a huge, huge difference. So I want to ask you these questions now. I want to ask you if you ever feel like you have more to give. So like you might be in business, you may be in business, or maybe you're not. You're working for somebody else, but you just know that somewhere deep inside of you, you've got more to give. These things you might be thinking, hey, Tracy, what's that got to do with influence? It does. So hang in there and bear with me. So I want to know if you have more, if you have inside of you burning so much more to give, and you know it, but you feel like you're not doing all of that now. You're not giving everything you've got as easily as you could. So I want to ask you that. That's the first question. The next question I've got for you is, do you have a bigger message inside of you that you want to share? So in the first question is like, have you got more to give? Like, could you give more in terms of like your packages and your services and things that you could provide to an audience? The second is, do you have a message inside of you? Like the reason that you actually want to do what you're doing, is there an absolute clear reason as to why you're doing that or why you want to do that? And do you have a message that's very, very clear that you want to share with somebody else? And if you don't, but you know that, I know I've kind of got a message, but I'm not really sure how to do it, again, hang around, because I'm going to share with you how you can get really crystal clear on what that message is. The next question I've got for you is this. And I've got to read it because I've got them on my screen right now, so just bear with me because I've got to make these a little bit bigger because I haven't got my glasses on, I can't freaking see. So, do you know that you could actually help way more people if you wanted to? So, you know, that you could make, and you could also make way more money if more people actually knew about you. Like, would that be true? So answer that question for me. If more people knew about who you were, because right now I'm saying you're an expert in something, because we've established that you probably are an expert in something because you're more than 10 years old. So if you're an expert in something, could you be earning more, and do you want to earn more by sharing your message and the skills and knowledge that you have? If the answer to that is yes, I want you to type that in. Tell me in the chat today. Tell me in the chat. And then the next thing I want to ask you is, do you know that you should be doing more to market your business or your products and your services, but you're actually strapped for time? So if that's the case, I want to know. Like, you want to get out there, you want to share stuff, you want to share your message with people, but man, you just don't have any time. Okay, so all these things the questions that I'm asking you today are to get you to start thinking about it. And I'm bringing to the forefront the barriers that you currently have, the things that are holding you back, right? And then the answer to this is going to be influence. And then how do I get that influence? What do I need to do? So if you think about all those things, and if we could kind of knock them all over with one thing, it would be building your influence, right? Because if you can start to build your influence and you can start to impact and make a difference to somebody else, like I said right at the beginning, you have the capacity to affect the character development or behavior of someone else or something, then that would actually make a huge difference to the outcomes of your business and your life. Because if we can fuel your life by the business that you create, then all of a sudden, by using your influence, creating your influence, and then using that influence to create a bigger business, to create a bigger impact, to spread your message more easily and freely, what difference would that actually make to you, your business, and your life right now? So I just want you to think about that for a moment. Okay, so let's talk about now that I've got you to kind of think about those things, I want to talk about the actual anatomy of influence. So to me, when I started to figure out, and I started joining other people's programs, and I started watching a lot of the gurus, and I paid big money to join the programs. Like I'm talking $20,000, $30,000 a year plus travel, right? So I was super serious about learning how to create more impact and share my message with people. I was deadly serious about that. And now I'm deadly serious about helping other people do the same. But I spent many years studying under the studious eye of other really big influencers. And like I said, I paid big money to do that. And when I started watching them, there were two things I did. So one is you start doing all the things that they teach you. The second thing that I started to do was actually watch what they were doing. And what I found in some cases is that there was actually a disconnect between what they were telling us to do and what they were actually doing. And so the interesting thing was when I started watching what they were doing, I started to realize, what they're actually doing here is building their influence. And there was a very specific sequence and a way that they were doing it. And so over time, I started to take notes. Like I am a big note taker. Anybody that knows me in any of the programs that I've been in, often they'll come to me for, Trace, can I have a copy of your notes? Because I take a lot of notes. I try to listen really, really carefully. I try to watch really, really carefully, and I take lots of notes so I can start to see what is it that they're telling me to do, and then what is it that they are actually doing themselves to grow their business. And when I started to do that, I started to uncover the secret anatomy of influence. That secret anatomy of influence came down to three things. And these three things I want to go really, really deep in. They are, the three things are what we call the ACE method. So building your authority. Okay, so influence, all of these things come down to three specific things that we do. And now I've uncovered these and I've built these into a method, the ACE method. So the first step in the process is building your authority. The second step in your process is like connection. So building a connection. And the third thing is exposure. All of these things help you to build your influence. So you need to have all three of those together. You can't have the level of influence that you need to build your business if you have one of these things missing. So what I want to do today is, because I've gone through kind of giving you a bit of my backstory, told you why I think influence is like the number one thing that is missing from most people's equation, and most people don't teach it. It is like this big fat secret in the industry that nobody tells you about. Because I have spent many years uncovering this, watching, listening, learning, and then pulling all of that together and putting it into my own method, it means that I too have now started to build my influence. And it's the same process that I now teach a lot of students and a lot of my high-level coaching clients. So in an upcoming web class that I've got, I want to share with you guys, I'm going to go deep into the ACE method. what it actually means, how you continue to build your influence and your authority. What is this, the authority, connection, and exposure? How do you actually do that? I want to share with you a web class. I'm going to go, like I said, I'm going to go deep inside in that web class, and I'll also going to hang around at the end of that web class and ask any questions, because no doubt people are going to have them. So I'm going to put up on the screen now a place that you can go. The very first webinar is going to be next week, and if I get my dates right, it's on the 4th of March, which will be my time here in Australia. So if you go there, there's 3 dates that you can book in for. Head on over to this. Let me put it on the screen. Here we go. influenceandauthority.com/web class. Go and register for that web class. On that web class, like I said, I'm going to be diving deep into how you build influence and authority and using the ACE method. When you use the ACE method, a number of things are going to happen for you. You are going to find that you are going to build your list. Now, you guys all know, well, those of you that have been in business for a while, you'll know how important building your database and building your list is. You also want to make sure that whatever it is that you do generates more sales. And we do all of this by helping you skyrocket your influence and your authority, but you want to be able to do it in a really condensed space of time. You don't want it to be taking all day, every day. So the way in which I'm going to teach you with the ACE method is a way that you can build your influence and your authority in less than 2 hours a week. And the result of that will be that you're going to skyrocket your influence and your authority. You're going to start building your database and your list of really hot buyers, and you are going to start generating really solid sales so that you get consistency and stability for your business over a long period of time. So if you want to join me, you want to learn more about the ACE method and how you can do that. If you want to build your business, you want to increase your authority and your influence, and you want more sales in your business, then I would highly recommend you head on over and just register for the web class. It's absolutely free. I'll be online for about an hour, diving deep into the ACE method so that you too can go away and start building your influence and your authority really confidently, so that it has long-term results for your business, so that you too can survive past the 5-year hump, so that you too can break the glass ceiling of, earning only $40,000 a year, because that's, in my opinion, minimum wage. You want to get to a point where you're able to command $40,000 a day for what it is that you are doing. So all of this boils down to having influence, and hence the reason that I wanted to talk about it today. Like I said, it's the secret in the industry that most people don't talk about, but I am going to rip the lid off that can, and I'm going to share with you the method that I have seen, I have experienced myself, that I use myself, and that I'm now teaching to other students. And I want to share it with you guys, and it's going to be absolutely free on a webinar coming up. So to get to that webinar, you've just got to head on over to influenceandauthority.com/web class register, so that I can make sure that I share all of this with you. It'll be stuff that I won't share on shows, so you need to go and register for that webinar, because I will be letting out a lot of the insider secrets that I've learned. I'm going to share everything with you, and then I'm going to tell you how you can even take that further so that you can start implementing all of the systems and processes in your business from immediately. So I want to leave today's session at that. But before I do, let me just jump on over here, because I know I've got a whole lot of comments on here. All right, heaps of people saying they can't wait. So I'm hoping that you guys, you will join me on that web class, because I am going to share that entire process with you guys so that you too can kind of lessen the gap between you and the gurus in your industry. You're probably realizing right now that there's a whole lot of people out there that are getting the lion's share of the good clients and all the high paying clients, and that would actually be true. And the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you on that webinar is going to help you to very quickly collapse that gap between you and them and enable you to stand out amongst the crowd, even though it's a noisy place. So join me on that webinar. Again, it's just at the bottom here, influenceandauthority.com/web class. They're only going to be run, I've got 3 sessions available, which will be available in both Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and American time. And also there are some times available that are, reasonable hours for those of you that are watching from the UK. So head on over and register yourself for that web class, and I'll see you there. Other than that, guys, I'm going to wish you all a fantastic weekend. I am going to be back next week with more episodes of The Unlock Show. And I want to leave you with this today. It's going to be a quote from Bruce Lee. And it goes like this: I don't fear the man who has mastered 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who has mastered one kick 10,000 times. So for you guys, I want you to master influence, and I want you to do it over and over and over again, so that you never ever have to worry about where the next client or where the next conversation is going to come from in your business. So I'll leave you with that today, guys, from the amazing Bruce Lee. He was very, very successful. So go ahead and, take that analogy on board. Come to the webinar and the web class, and I will make sure that I do a stellar job in sharing the secrets to the ACE method with you on one of those nights. And I will make sure that I hang around and answer any questions for you. So I'll see you then. Have a fantastic week, guys. See you later.